your mind will be vigorous. And if your mind is vigorous, then you should be able to absorb this truth in the way that you study it. So, are there any questions that have arisen from the lessons that we've had so far? Also, of course, to try and catch up with the time, so I'm not going to take an hour. Are there any questions pertaining to any issues arising? Okay, while you're thinking, I think we've touched on many many different things that affect our minds and our ability to think and reason. Okay, my brother.
Yeah, but yes.
Yeah.
On the issues of about doubt. Asked me that case with Gideon. What happened to Gideon when he was caught in the road swift? He asked for a sign or something. Or what do you say about that? The doubt?
I think doubt is different from seeking to confirm a message. Doubt is, what I mean by doubt is when you are presented with the truth, you question it and you don't quite believe it. I think asking for a sign is something different. Asking for a sign doesn't necessarily mean that the person doesn't believe. Maybe they're just looking for an assurance that the Lord is with them, that the Lord is directing their path. And it can be a very fine line, I know, between doubt and questioning and wanting to have clarity. I'm talking about the kind of doubt that has led to the apostasy in this movement, for instance. When you have once believed in something, and then at some point you begin to have questions that break down the very thing that you have once believed. That's what I'm talking about. So Gideon is not like Gideon believed and said, yes, Lord, I'll do it. Then he sets off on a path, and then he turns around later on to question whether the Lord's leading was the right thing. I don't think that was Gideon's experience. What's happening in this movement is people have believed that judgment began at 9/11, and I've taught it, and I've walked in that path for a time. But then at some point turn around and begin to question the very thing that once believed. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not sure if I've answered your question. Do others, can anyone else give perhaps a better answer? Do we understand what I was trying to address when we were talking about doubt? Yes.
So, how can one prevent himself from doubting? Because you made the point in the discourse. So you shut the door of your heart to doubt. In that you have to ignore the doubts that you have or you need to overcome. But that central mentality of doubting again usually comes in our mind. Can we prevent ourselves from doubting?
Okay. Have you heard the question? Can we prevent ourselves from doubting? What should we do when these thoughts come up in our minds? I think the thing is to follow the counsel that we've been given. Because the problem is, if you entertain the thoughts, and I didn't talk about thoughts in this camp, but Sister White has many statements where she talks and talks about how we need to govern our thoughts. It's not right to allow yourself to be taken somewhere by your thoughts anyhow. We actually have to learn to govern our thoughts. It's one of the principles, one of the things that we are expected to learn to control. Just like you control your appetite, just like you learn that a certain food article is wrong, and you desire for it, your body wants it, but you put a stop to it and you say, today I will not eat that article of food for today only. And you know that you will struggle and battle with that temptation. But once you purpose, the thing is that once you've made a decision to do what is right, as we've been told by the elder, you have the power in you to make the choice. But once you take that choice, God works with you. But you have to make the choice, you have to take the decision. So it's the same thing even with the thoughts. Sometimes we allow our thoughts to take us to places where we shouldn't be, just because it's happening in our minds. But actually we are expected to govern our thoughts. So when thoughts of doubts creep up in the mind, Sister White tells us to shut them down. And that's, I think I'm trying to get to shut the door of your heart to doubts. When the devil comes with his doubts and unbeliefs, shut the door of your heart. It's a decision that you take. It's exercising your will. No one else can do it for you. And thoughts are very, very powerful. They can take you anywhere. In my mind, I can sit here and commit crimes right in front of you that you're not aware of. Because in my mind, I am cultivating the habit of, following my thoughts wherever they go. She says, shut your eyes so that you will not dwell upon this hellish shadow. Lift them up where they can behold the things which are eternal, and you have strength every hour. The trial of your faith is much more precious than gold. The first statement that we read last, when we were talking about doubt, it says that many who, like Thomas, wait for all cause of doubt to be removed will never realize their desire. This, I think, is the danger with the doubt. Is that if you want to doubt, and if you want to pursue that path, it will lead you to unbelief. It will take you, because it's a seed. And every seed that's sown grows and bears fruit of its kind. So you cannot sow doubts and reap righteousness. You cannot sow meal and reap and harvest beans. The thing that you sow is what you reap. So, and yet here it's we being told that, all cause of doubt is not going to be entirely removed. Possibility of doubt is not removed. So while God has given ample evidence for faith, He will never remove all excuse for unbelief. So now what do you do then? You're not going to be given every single article of evidence there is, so that you will not doubt. When it comes to faith, you simply have to exercise it. And so that's why when I compare it to the omega of apostasy, is people that once believed that 9/11 is the beginning of the judgment of the living. So now what further evidence did they need? The spirit of prophecy says that they already have all the evidence that they need to have to make a decision. In fact, she says they have more evidence than Thomas had. So now to begin to entertain the question of whether or not judgment really begins at 9/11, that was already trading very dangerous ground. And the problem with entertaining the thought is that you will soon come across what? A hook, which is a false evidence. False evidence to your doubts. And now you're trapped because you're getting a pleasurable response out of this doubting. It's a vicious cycle. You start off with something negative, with a negative thought that leads you to a positive experience. And then you're going to get trapped here. Because nobody likes a negative experience. We all try to run away from sadness and depression and all of that. But when it's pleasurable, once you come across a hook, it becomes pleasurable. And this is where you get trapped. Because then now you think you're on the way, on the right path. When you interact with people that are both off the platform, they have a burden, and this is the thing about an apostasy. Those people believe they're on the right path, and they also have a burden for you, and they're also trying to convert you to get you to change your position. Because why do they do that? It's not because they absolutely believe they're on the wrong path. They have a sense that they are on the right path because they encountered a false piece of evidence that became a hook. Reading again what she says, all who look for hooks to hang their doubts upon will find them. See, that's the danger. And those who refuse to accept and obey God's word until every objection has been removed and there is no longer any opportunity for doubt will never come to the light. So the thing with the doubt, when you begin to question, what's the face of a person that's doubting? Let me try to draw the face of someone that's doubting. And you can decide which face is most appropriate. Is it this face or that face? But this face is driven by what kind of hormones? Is it the good, happy hormone? No. Or is it bad? Because everything in the body is a nerve transmission and it's a neurotransmitter interaction between the electricity and the chemicals. So obviously this individual is driven by negative hormones. And initially, because they are doubting, they will experience this anxiety. And for a time, they've experienced anxiety, but if they entertain the thought, they will soon find a hook, and the hook will provoke endorphins, which give you a happy feeling. And this is where the problem is. The problem is with the endorphin, the happy feeling. It will keep you trapped in a false premise for a long time. And that's why Sister White tells us that we are to shut the door to our hearts to doubt. And learn to govern our thoughts.
Yeah, can I add to what you're saying? Yeah, I remember when coming across this message for the first time, when the message was presented, it was very clear that this was the truth.
Yeah.
But truthfully speaking, there were a lot of questions in my mind and a lot of things that didn't make sense. But I'm just thinking that had I chose to dwell upon those things which didn't make sense and hold on to them, I wouldn't have been able to accept this message. So it's a choice whether you choose it out or the evidence that God has given you. It's not the case that everything will be clear. And as I'm making an example about this message, everything was not clear. There were so many questions. But the evidence was enough to show you that you are in the truth, you see. So, that's a small point I want to make.
Thank you. The other problem with the thoughts and the doubts is just that what will happen if you entertain the thought? So first it's a small neuron, then you entertain it for the one day, and you entertain it repeatedly. MCP page 676 says, one word of doubt, one word of evil thinking and evil speaking makes room for more of the same kind. It is seed sowing that will prepare for a harvest that few will care to garner. So that's the danger. You cultivate that thought, it will give birth to other thoughts of its nature, of its kind. And very soon you find yourself an unbeliever. So, I'm not sure if that question about doubt is clarified. Yeah? It's a decision. I think we're all here because we've made the decision. And prophecy schools are necessary. Why? Because we're wanting to learn. Because we've had enough evidence to understand that this is where the truth is. But do we understand every single aspect of it yet? No, but we are here to learn, isn't it? So at this point, if you begin to entertain doubts and say, okay, maybe this is not the right place, what's really going to happen is you're going to walk off the platform. So that's what the testimony is telling us. We need to make the decision. Once we've made the decision to live by it and continue to pursue this, the people that I've seen, my own friends and people that I've come across, because I came into the present truth around 2008, so that's about 7 years ago, but not necessarily the prophetic movement as it's become defined at this present moment. And what I've noticed with everyone that I interacted with is they get to a point where they begin to entertain the doubts and question whether this is the leading of the Lord. And it's when they begin to question their past experience that they stumble and fall. So if you have confidence in the way the Lord has led you to this place, if you really believe that it was the hand of the Lord, why would you begin to entertain the thought that maybe it isn't? Where does that thought come from? That is the hand of the Lord, then you have to just make the decision to continue on in faith. Because doubts will lead you backwards. Okay,
maybe on another note, can we wait by any means protect the coming generation from generation of programs that you're posting to our programs? Also, presenting your presentation yesterday said it might not affect the very excellence consuming and health food, but it may affect the following generation. Then how can we as a people control such outcomes in the following generation?
Yeah, that's a good question. The genes, can we change the genes? Are you sure?
Yes, you can.
Think about it.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. That's why we have gradually degenerated as a people. It's because the gene pool has been changing since the days of Adam. Yeah. So, as much as genes can deteriorate, they can also improve. And the thing with genes is that your DNA is inside the cell nucleus. That's the DNA. And the DNA is a code. You know, it's like a set of instructions that tells the cell what to do and when to do it. And the way it does that is through a chemical called the RNA, which goes to the DNA and copies exactly what's on the DNA. Then it comes into the cell, the medium of the cell itself, and then it begins to then assemble the amino acids to make the specific product that it's supposed to produce. So let's say this is a cell in your mouth that produces saliva. Saliva it's a fluid that contains enzymes that begin to break down your food as you're chewing it. So this cell has to produce saliva, and all that saliva is that it's water plus amylase, which is the enzyme. And every enzyme is a protein, and every protein is made up of amino acids that are placed together in the right sequence. And that instruction comes from the DNA. But in order for this DNA to communicate this instruction to the cell itself, it has on its surface antennas all over the membrane itself. It has antennas made up of carbohydrates and starch. And these antennas, their job is to pick up signals in the environment around the cell and then communicate that information to the DNA. So the DNA is not some strict code that can't be broken. It's influenced by the environment around. And that's why you see genetic defects coming in that never were present before. How that happens is because the genes have changed. And the way that this instruction is carried, it has to be very precise. If it's interrupted in any way, then you get a gene that's become defective that may be carried on to the next generation. The assurance is that through obedience, certain genes, destructive genes, can also be shut down or deactivated. So what this generation can do is to live in obedience. And I think that's why we have this redemptive message. It's a message of restoration, both physical and spiritual. Is that, you can literally, through obedience, take your genes back to a normal state. And a person, using the example that I used yesterday of diabetes, how the third and fourth generation becomes diabetic because of the transgressions of the fathers. Using that example, how does, we say diabetes is caused by a lack of insulin. Insulin in the cells, and there is no insulin because the cells that produce insulin are being destroyed by the immune system. So, if you have a generation now, this is the current generation today, we know it's the last one. The current generation is a people that have diabetes. If through obedience this parent obeys the laws of health and stops to transgress that law, you will notice that in the next generation, when the babies are being formed in utero, because this parent has learned to control and govern the sugar diabetes, you will find that the cells will recover in the next generation. But I don't have that statement here, where Sister White says that these genetic conditions can be inherited and cultivated, inherited tendencies. If the child themselves does not transgress, they may not suffer the effects of the genetic problems. I'm not talking about things like Down syndrome, like serious birth defects, because that's like on the end of the spectrum of sin. There's been so much transgression that the genes are completely disordered. A baby comes out deformed. I'm just talking about the traits of character, perhaps, and propensities to certain diseases. They can be shut down through obedience. In the same way transgression breaks down the genes, obedience brings about a restoration.
Yeah, just another question. We've been exposed to all those harsh conditions before, and now we are prone to diseases and some other things. What are you thinking as a solution to the problem we've been exposed to? What do we do now?
What do we do now?
In case I catch a flu, I've got this other disease, I've got that other disease. What do I take? Do I go back and take the medicine, or I've got a better solution?
It's found in the Spirit of Prophecy. Let's read Healthful Living, page 9. We're going to read page 9 and then page 13. It says, the living organism is God's property. It belongs to Him by creation and by redemption. So just on that point right there, you are not at liberty to do as you please to the body, because it does not belong to you only. It belongs to God. And she says, and by a misuse of any of our powers, we rob God of the honor due Him. We are God's workmanship, and His word declares that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. He has prepared this living habitation for the mind. It is curiously wrought, a temple which the Lord Himself has fitted up for the indwelling of the Holy Spirit. And then it says in page 13, a practical knowledge of of the science of human life is necessary in order to glorify God in our bodies. It is therefore of the highest importance that among the studies selected for childhood, physiology should occupy the first place. So the first place to go is to have a basic understanding of physiology, how your body works. I mean, it's common sense that if you have a machine that you operate, that you need to know how it works. You need to have a basic idea how it functions. And there's something called planned absolutism in the world today, where they produce gadgets and don't actually expect anybody to have a basic understanding of how they function. Their purpose is to have these gadgets breaking down in a short period and you having to go back and buy another one. But if we had a basic understanding of how these machines work, you can even be able to fix it yourself or even make it yourself. And so we become slaves to the system because of ignorance. And God is telling us that we need to have a practical understanding of how the human body works. Because you don't know how to take care of it if you don't understand how it works. That's why I gave the example yesterday of flu. When you have flu, all your symptoms are good for you. It's the body's attempt to fix the problem. The drugs, all they're doing is to shut down the body. That's all they're doing, because the philosophy behind medicine is that when you have a symptom, treat it with the opposite. So if you have a tumor, take it out. If you have a fever, bring it down. If you have a pain, take it away. That's the science behind medicine. It's really foolishness on one level. But the science of God says support the body in that headache and in that state of discomfort, because it is trying to help you. Not to say that you should live in pain continuously, but take measures that are going to assist the body to take care of itself. And she says that the body will be able to do what it's meant to do. What kind of a God would we have if he knew this was going to happen to us as a human race, sickness and death, and not have a solution for it? Just like he has a solution for our salvation. He has a solution for it. I was amazed when I realized that there is a solution, a natural remedy for every condition. My ignorance doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's there. You'll be amazed. Even something as scary as cancer. Cancer can be cured. In fact, it's one of the easiest conditions to manage, even more than an autoimmune condition. Yeah. You just need to have the tools and understand what to do. So I guess I'll refer you to your medical missionaries. They have all the tools. Natural remedies. I spoke about some. I'll come to you, my dear. I mentioned some things here. One of them is to detox your blood. Today, when you go home, make a plan to have a detox. Just to get rid of the toxins that have already accumulated in your blood. And your skin, your liver, your kidneys. In some of the detox programs, you can direct a certain treatment program to a specialized organ. I said this. I'm going to now clean my liver. And then next time you do the same for your kidneys. Next time you do the same for your digestive tract. A lot of us here need a colon cleanse. I know it's a drastic measure, but drastic conditions call for drastic measures sometimes, because many people are chronically constipated. How often should you go to the bathroom? And empty your bowel? It's according to how many meals you have a day. So if you're having 2 meals a day, you should empty your bowel twice a day. If you're not doing that, you're chronically constipated. And what happens is all the waste just packs up in the colon. Your colon looks like this. You've got the rectum where you're going to collect the waste that needs to be disposed of. So it has a descending column, a transverse column, and the one on the right is ascending, so it moves like that, down the descending column, and then it collects in the rectum. So what happens if you don't empty your bowel as frequently as you eat, this waste material begins to clog and pile up on the lining of the bowels. And sometimes when you do x-rays on people, you see waste that has piled up all the way to the ascending colon. It fills up the descending colon, goes across and backwards this way. People who get appendicitis, for example, is chronic constipation. And sometimes this stuff can be piled there for years and years and years. Yeah, and even when you begin to eat the right kind of food and improve your bowel movements, there's all this, backlog that's been piling up. It gets stuck onto the walls of the large intestines, and it's difficult to eliminate. Even if you did a juice fast. So, try to consider a colon cleanse is once in your lifetime to empty the bowels. So you do those kinds of detox programs, and then the rest, consult with the medical missionaries. They have solutions for most things. Sister White talks about gangrene. Gangrene is when a limb has actually died. And she talks about how charcoal can reverse it. What do doctors do for gangrene? They amputate. And I was so amazed that you could cure gangrene just by using charcoal. God has a remedy for everything. Yes, my sister.
Okay, just to add on what you're saying. I've always seen the process of restarting your lifestyle, basically, the way you eat and all those things. It can be parallel with the process of a Christian who has repented and they're justified and they have to go through a process of sanctification. Right? So a person, you get to a point where you learn that what you're eating is wrong, but there's already damage that has already happened from past. But it doesn't mean that you have to go to the solutions of the world, because God has the solutions, right? So at that process, at that first step, what you need to do is a thorough cleanse of your body, to at least try and rid of the toxins that are in the body, right? And then from then onwards, you need to be strictly on a certain diet to maintain the health, just like the process of sanctification. So even when, like what he's saying, you've got diseases or these problems that came out of ignorance, it doesn't mean that they can't be reversed. They can be reversed, but you need to make a decision that you are living this past life. And after you've left that past life, you have to go, sometimes I call it sort of an initiation process. It's a starting point where you have to get rid of your past life from your tongue, even your mind. Because when you go through that detoxification program, you are making your mind unlearn the things that it has learned all throughout this time. Even your taste buds, you are teaching them that this is a good thing that you're supposed to eat. And that process of detoxification actually helps. And then after the detoxification, now you are maintaining that health that you're supposed to have throughout your life.
Okay, may you just explain a typical detoxification program? How is it done? Maybe we're using the terminology that we are assuming everyone knows what it is. But people like myself just have a clumsy idea of what a detoxification program is like.
Not that I think the medical missionaries are better, would answer that question better. I don't have specifics, but I've in my experience tried some things out. But the word detox is just two words. D being opposite, and tox is just the toxin. So you're reversing the process of intoxication. Right. So you know that most toxins come in through the the digestive tract. So, and they end up in the circulation, and then they go to all the organs. And I mentioned the liver yesterday. Everything that you eat after digesting goes into the liver. And the work of the liver is to try and break down anything that's not right. And so the liver quickly gets accumulated with toxins. And when it lets all of that go into the circulation, then the circulation will take whatever it needs, and then everything gets filtered out in the liver, in the kidneys. So the kidneys also get intoxicated. So there are special organs, as well as the lymph glands. The lymph glands also store a lot of the toxins. So what I know is it's a program that may take even months to get through. Yeah? And there is juice fasting that you can do, and specific organ detox, colon cleansing, and then there is the natural remedies. And basically the 8 laws of health are incorporated into this program. And there are centers that offer detox programs, yeah? And you may go in for about 10 days or 2 weeks, and they will offer you a juice fast or a colon cleanse as well, and give you certain herbs to cleanse the livers, kidneys, things like that. So you just need to find out the resources around you in your environment, who offers what services, and allow yourself to go through this detox. If that doesn't happen, you can try to do it yourself at home. Read up, get information about the herbs. A juice fast is something any one of us can do at home for 7 days. It has dramatic effects, very, very effective. Easily do that at home. A colon cleanse, I don't know about Zim, but in SM we've got lots of people that do colon cleansing. I'm also trying to get into that so that I can also offer it as a service for those of you that might be interested in the near future to have a colon cleanse. Yeah, and then
Okay, just to help out with the detoxification, what I usually do is this, because as you said, the detoxification is removing the toxins, right, from the body. So there are certain organs in the body that help you to take out those toxins. And there's what we call the 7 channels of elimination, right, where you have the liver, the colon, the lymph, the kidneys, the lungs, the blood, the skin. So all those things, they actually work together to try and cleanse your body from any toxin. So what you're basically trying to do, because the Lord has already made us with these things to help us to detoxify our bodies, what you need to do is to feed your body with the right things to help those organs that they can be able to take out those toxins. And there's things like hydrotherapies. Even if you don't have a juicer, you can even go on a raw food diet fast, where you're just taking live enzymes, right, to help your body, that the kidneys can work well. You don't have to have a lot of things. You can even do it yourself sometimes. And hydrotherapies, they help a lot because they cleanse not only just the skin, they cleanse the blood, they help with the circulation, they help with the heart even to pump the blood and all those things. So if you would know more about those 7 channels of elimination, you would know what the blood needs so that you can be able to take out those toxins.
And in 1989, at the time of the end, the internet was invented, so I could Google. I tell you, there's lots of information there. Things that you can do yourself at home. How to cleanse the liver, how to cleanse the kidney. So many natural parts online. Yes,
on the cleansing and detoxing and everything else pertaining disease, I would also recommend that people get that book, Back to Eden.
Yeah.
it also helps pertaining you being aware, being made aware of what is actually causing that disease and what symptom will you be identifying from various symptoms, and it will tell you that if ever now you are having a certain disease, what cleansing must you do? Because even when you do those detox cleansing, they will be having different targets of detoxing. Maybe for an example, you are detoxing maybe a colon. You will be maybe doing the fruit fast, like 2 weeks fruit fast and veggies. Like for the first week, you use only your fruit, and your second week you use both fruit and veggies. Meaning, in the morning and midday, you'll be using your veggies, and in the evening you use your fruits, depending what kind of meal are you in. But recommended is 2 meals. Yeah, so that will be for the colon. So it depends what are you trying to detox for.
Juice fasts are very powerful. It's like you're taking your cells and washing them, and then giving them all these fresh nutrients. And together with hydrotherapy, just these two can cleanse and multitude of organs. Yeah. So just like we go through baptism spiritually to cleanse, the same thing you're doing with hydrotherapy and the juice fast.
Oh, just one more thing which I left out. Also, you can try a steam bath. So what it will do, the pores on your body, when they will be like steamed up, the pores will be open and the toxins will be removed. And then the other one, which I was recently doing when I was there by Toyando, I would take what you call the charcoal and make a paste and wrap it around my waist, depending where I want the toxin to be coming out of. If ever I want it for my stomach, then the paste will be on the front, then I'll wrap a bandage and sleep with it and remove it in the morning. But if ever I want it for the back, then same thing. So depending where you are suffering the pains, if ever is the foot, then you will be like under the foot and you will draw the toxin from there. So depending which area also you want to target. So charcoal is number one.
I also want to share that I have experience in lemon water. It has been shared. Lemon water, it increases, it lowers the blood pressure. You put your lemon here. I used to put the lemon in my bottle when I was working. I never got sick in the winter. And then my manager was saying, hey, Saka, tell these people what is the nyanga you have. Because the people here will live in nyanga. And I said, my nyanga is this one. You see, I cut this also and I drink this. And it helps the skin, it helps. I'm not never laughing. Also, I have another nyanga. When I put this one bottle in the morning, in warm water, it has helped me, and I share with my old women there. One was specified, oh, Mama Saka, you don't drink that. She was going for blood pressure, was very high. We have a prayer band, we share. So I was sharing with them, use this water. And then that woman used it. She came to me and said, the doctor had told her to go back to another high dose because it was not controlled. When we shared the message, she went to use this water and the blood pressure came down. And then the doctor was saying, what are you using? There is nothing special. You only take this bottle in the morning, warm water, and drink. It will take concentration, it will cleanse you, it will make you well, and you won't suffer from any fruit or any disease.
Okay, one last point I'd like to share is to learn to reason from cause to effect. I'm reading this from Healthy Living, page 15. If people would reason from cause to effect and would follow the light which shines upon them, they would pursue a course which would ensure health, and the mortality would be far less. All who possess common capabilities should understand the wants of their own system. And to understand the wants of your own system, you've got to understand physiology, how the body works. And if you get sick, the first thing you should do before you even try to treat anything is to find out why it has happened. Because that is where the solution lies. If you can answer that question, you'll be able to fix everything else. Because I know the ideology we have in our minds is to treat the symptoms. I feel a headache, what can I get? Even in this present truth movement, I still hear people saying, I've got a headache, what can I take? That's not the answer. I've got a headache, I'm not sure what has caused it, I'm trying to look for the problem. Because if you go back to the problem and fix it, the headache will go away. We don't want to bring that mindset of the world into this message and deal with symptoms. We want to learn to reason from cause to effect, because even on the reform line, every waymark has a cause and an effect. And that's actually how you learn to study the reform lines. 9/11 happens because of something and it leads to the next waymark. And that principle should apply in every aspect of our lives. Lastly, GC 519, paragraph 2, before we close. Satan well knows that all whom he can lead to neglect prayer and the searching of the scripture will be overcome by his attacks. Therefore, he invents every possible device to engross the mind. So I hope that we have been able to understand how the condition of the body affects the mind and how we need to change our thinking when it comes to how we are handling the body temple. It is the temple of the Lord. The Holy Spirit wants to come and dwell within us. We want God to be glorified in this body. And the only way He can do that is if we have a well-balanced mind. And a well-balanced mind is not possible or possible end if the body is ill and broken down. And so we need to really work hard on cleansing the system, cleansing the organs, cleansing the colon. And I know that many diseases actually begin in the colon. I think it's the first thing you should consider doing when you get home. Shall we pray? We thank you, Lord, for leading us. Thank you, Lord, for educating us. Thank you for making us aware of things we may have not understood in the past. Forgive us, Lord, for the things that we have done that have broken down this physical body that you've given us and caused our minds to become beclouded, that we even struggle to follow the truth. But we know that you're a God of mercy and you desire for us to be saved, and you have given us time and knowledge now. We ask that you will quicken us, that we'll be able to do everything in our power to detox our bodies and to learn more how this machine works, that will cooperate with the laws of nature so that we will keep this body sound and in a good constitution, so that the mind may also be vigorous to receive the message that is intended to save us. May you continue to bless us at this camp as we continue to study. We are exhausted and tired, but still desiring to learn more. We pray, Lord, that you will help us, and until the camp comes to an end, we will continue to learn. In Jesus' name.